Question 28 is a critical thinking question, and we can see we're being asked which of the following, if true, would most weaken the above argument. So let's go through the argument. It has been shown that most people are either night owls, who describe themselves as naturally more active and alert in the evening, or morning larks, who wake early and become less alert once daylight decreases. These patterns are linked to changes in the levels of the hormone melatonin, which is associated with feelings of sleepiness. Those who follow a morning lark pattern show high levels of melatonin early in the evening and low levels by the early morning. The opposite is true in night owls, with high levels of melatonin still present in the morning after waking. Therefore, employers should allow for flexible working hours to accommodate people's sleeping patterns. Now, before we look at the potential statements weakening the argument, let's look over what we have. So there are two categories of people, night owls and morning larks, linked to changes in melatonin. So because of all of this, because there are two categories of people, and it's all linked to a hormone, employers should allow for flexible working hours to accommodate the two different types of people. So let's start with A, bearing in mind that we have to assume that these statements are true. Option A says, melatonin levels rise and fall as a result of owl or lark behaviour. So this throws a massive spanner in the works of the initial statement that most people are either a night owl or a morning lark, depending on the levels of melatonin that they naturally have based on their pattern. This suggests that it's all to do with behaviour, that these melatonin differences are all the result of behaving in an owl-like way, i.e. staying up late, or a lark-like way, having to get up early. So this massively weakens the argument, so we can highlight this. Option B, melatonin tablets have been used to treat jet lag by adjusting the sleep-wake cycle. Now, this doesn't do much to weaken the argument that melatonin and the pattern that you have determines whether you're a night owl or a morning lark. So even if this was true, this would not undermine the argument, so we can ignore this. Option C says that changing patterns of shift work have a negative effect on health. Now obviously this is talking about the last line here, where employers should allow flexible working hours. Well, this doesn't appear to damage the argument much, because the shift hours could be ones that you choose, so you could just choose to have the same shift hours every time. Option D is that the amount of sleep usually changes throughout our lifespan. So this may well be the case, but it might still conform to the night owl, morning lark division, so the conclusion isn't necessarily invalid. Finally, option E says, analysis of body temperatures have shown that shift workers' bodies take a long time to adjust to changes in routines. Now again, this is having a dig at the final conclusion that employers should allow flexible working hours, but again, the argument doesn't really say that shift workers should be changing their shifts all the time. It's just that they should pick a set of working hours which suit their sleeping pattern and run with that. So E isn't valid. We should go with option A, i.e. melatonin levels rise and fall as a result of owl or lark behaviour, as opposed to people being either an owl or a lark.